question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
Dr. David Clark.
Mr. Speaker, this is a dodgy, tired, out-of-touch government mired in scandal. They're led by a Pinocchio PM who continues to make unfounded allegations in this House that he wouldn't say outside. And that tells you a lot about them. They are making accusations that they just cannot back up. They are writing cheques that they just cannot cash. And then there are foot soldiers, of course. Murray McCulley sent out of the country for 3 weeks for his part in an $11 million scandal that should lead to his resignation. On top of that, on top of the Saudi sheep scandal, we've got foot soldier Joyce, who is obviously been to the same school, attended the Murray McCulley School of Micromanagement. And just today, we heard from him about his obsession with the small things in his department, but his denial to take overall responsibility for the bigger mess-ups there and the flagrant abuse and misspending of taxpayer money. And that is, of course, fresh from the Northland by-election. That was not so long ago. Mr. Joyce's obsession with his $40,000 erection, which would be funny if it wasn't so serious, is a symbol of what is going on with this government. It is distracted. It is distracted. It is focused on the small issues because it is out of ideas on the big issues. Mr. Joyce himself is concentrating, we've learnt today, on the layout of documents, on the colour of the covers and on the full stops. This is a minister who is out of ideas, and it's no wonder that he is failing to reach his own targets. 40% was his target for raising exports as a portion of GDP. Well, it was 32% when his government took office. Now it's down to 27%, and the best projection we have at the moment is that it's down to fall to 26% next year. It is a government out of ideas, out of touch, that is failing to achieve its own goals. Now he's concentrating on improving the feng shui of his own reports. Well, Minister, I'm saying now it will not work. This is a minister we know, of course, is responsible for the Sky City deal, where we have a 10% smaller cut again on top of the other cuts to the centre. He talked about originally a maximum of 5,000 people at this conference centre when the other players were knocked out of the bidding. Now he's down to 2,850, just 57% of the size of the convention centre originally promised and built off the back of problem gambling. Then there's the Chorus deal. I can't talk about that given the limited time, but this is a minister with a failed, reversed Midas touch. He's tried to set up his glorious empire in Moby. He's got the hospital pass, though, to the officials who have an interfering, micromanaging minister. Treasury said from the start it would never achieve the efficiencies that were promised, and it's showing every day that this is not the case. This is an MP out of touch. He set up this Moby empire to rival Bill English's Treasury, and he's failing. And we've seen that in the budget. Bill English is cutting his expenditure budget by budget by budget. Only in 2013, just 2 budgets ago, he had $470 million of new expenditure. Then it was $363 last year. This year it's $259. He's got fewer dollars to spend because the government is losing faith. The government is losing faith with its main foot soldiers. They're deep in scandal and they're out of touch. Northland should have delivered a clear message to this government, but it doesn't seem to have. The List MP who ran the Northland campaign couldn't win one of the safest national seats in the country. The List MP who ran the campaign couldn't win one of the safest seats in the country. The public are sending a clear message. The regions can no longer be neglected. The 10 bridge bribes were seen for what they are. 74% of New Zealanders said those bridges were a bribe. The pig in front of the sign said it all. That was not a unique set of circumstances there either. Mr. Joyce claimed it was, but of course Taranaki used to have a real wage premium over Northland. Now it does not. Gisborne Hawke's Bay used to have a real wage premium over Northland. Now its wages are actually behind those of Northland. And of course, we know that the West Coast, Nelson Marlborough area is struggling too. Onto unemployment, and we know Manawatu, Wanganui used to have 3% unemployment when this government took over. Now it's up to 9%. This is a government that is failing. It has no new ideas, no plan, and the regions are hurting. And then we have the wasteful spending. That caps it all off. $43,000 on this Moby monument, $360,000 on luxury couches, motorised desks and Apple stalls. Sky City going to the pot. This is the government not taking responsibility, it's breaking promises and it is failing. It failed to achieve its central election campaign promise to get the government to surplus. 7th failure in a row.
James Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.